Today it is Christmas Eve. It's 24th, and it's the return of the Esoteric Lounge after 2 weeks absence. Our friend Hey Skits, our friend Sniper was under the weather, and then he was, recouping, getting his strength back. And now we're back. Time for the Christmas edition. Hey Mustafa, how are you, my friend? Mustafa, I don't know if you remember our friend Mark Landell. It was up maybe 2 months ago, maybe a month ago. He was in the inner circle with Maharshi Mahesh Yogi. Hey Willie, how are you? I'm doing good, Mustafa. I'm glad you're fine. Hey, Lady Sky. We had technical difficulties, but he's got a new phone. We're going to give it another try. He's going to come up a week from today. He's going to come up next Wednesday in the afternoon. Skit says, hi, Gary, and chat. I'm looking forward to this one. Awesome. Willie says, had to stay home from the family party. What's going on, Willie? Hey, Star Seeker. Star Seeker says, glad he's well enough. I'm sorry you're feeling a bit bummed, my friend. How come you had to stay in? So hopefully, Mustafa will have a better connection with him. He was in that inner circle with Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, founder of Transcendental Meditation, guru for the Beatles for a short time, and he wrote several wonderful books on meditation and forgiveness. A forgiveness meditation, actually. 79 years old. He's now doing music. Hey, Jess. Well, I got a notification. Woohoo! Awesome. Oh, probably just needed some rest. I was feeling nauseous before. How are you feeling now? Hey, Tree Frog. Hey, Yogi and wonderful chatters. Thanks for being here, my friend. Well, I hope you're recovering, Willie. Hey, Jess, how you doing? It says, Tree Froggy, good to see you. Happy Christmas Eve, you superstar. Lady Sky says hi to Jess. Lady Sky said hi. Willie says, a bit better after some rest. Well, better to get some rest tonight and be, feeling better on Christmas Day, right? I'm good, Lady Sky. Yeah, sometimes it's good to get to have some downtime. Absolutely. For all of us, Willie. Most of my days are constantly running around. I can understand that. Skid says Tree Frog is awesome, Yogi. Yokester, hint, hint. I get the hint. I know where we're going with this. Oops, give me a second, guys. There you go. Tree Frog as recommended by Skits. Seven says in 5 minutes away. I'll hold down the fort. Mustafa says he's fine, Lady Sky. Thank you. How are you and your family? Guys, did you get a chance to hang out and watch Lady Sky make tiramisu? Louis says I've been reflecting on whether to start Course in Miracles again, so I may open the book tonight. So I'm going to be doing on the 5 a.m. slots, I think. We'll see how it goes. Starting New Year's. We'll do a lesson a day, 365 days. I mean, I'm here anyway, right? It won't be an in-depth. Not the same as reading doing the lesson, but it'll give everyone a start. And if you're doing the course, it'll give a chance to maybe discuss it. It won't be the the whole topic, like always, but we'll start with it. You're welcome, Tree Frog. Hey, Tiger King. What are you scared about the Christmas fast for? It's a beautiful ceremony, Tiger King. First time going tonight at Christmas fast at 12. I loved way back in the day. I was a kid. I don't remember the last time I went to midnight mass, but I was definitely maybe even preteen. But I used to love it. It felt something special, something magical. And then used to be said, I don't know if people still say it, that Christmas Eve, when it turns to Christmas Day, the animals in the manger could communicate. And that legend had it, they still could. Something magical about midnight mass, this ceremony. Star Seeker says, I'm voting a cat tree tonight. The Overlord's present. I'm in and out, but listening in the background. I appreciate that. I hope the work goes smooth. Just said they finally made it live, Sniper. He will be in 5 minutes. Mustafa says, Lady Sky, I love you. Lady Sky says hi to Tiger King. Mustafa says, Lady Sky, I love you. We get some love from Skits. Hey, Daniel. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Sherry says, that sounds wonderful. Thanks, Yogi. You're welcome, Sherry. I did a course in wrapping presents last minute. Me. My method, I highly recommend it. Put it in a bag. That's what I would always do. I'd put it in a bag. And then I would always hand it to someone and say, here, I bagged it myself. Okay, it doesn't sound quite as impressive. Pam says, Lady Sky, enjoyed your cooking tonight. Pam, how are you? Lady Sky says, I bet you wish you had some of this tiramisu, Yogi. It did look good, for sure. Mustafa says, Eric, what do you think about the guests I told you about? Why don't you invite them? Some I don't know how to connect with. David Hoffmeister's already been up, and he'll be up again for sure. I have people feeling out Marianne Williamson. She's a big name, so she's hard to get in contact with, but I know people who know her. So we'll see how that works out. What were some of the other names? Anita. I don't know how to contact Anita. If you have any information on Carol May's family, let me know, and I will send something out to her. Eckhart Tolle is another big name. I would have loved to have Kenneth Wapnick up. Again, he passed away, I think in 2013. Wayne Dyer passed away. I do have connections to Deepak. Tiger King says, how you mean? What do you mean, Tiger King? Hey, Double X. Skid says, I'm talking to a donkey right now. He told me I ought to work on my spiritual gains and that yogi should eat mushy peas. Well, donkeys, what do they know? Well, hey, donkeys are vegans. Maybe they know something. This guy says, yep, yogi. Hey, Mr. West, respect from Oregon. I appreciate that. Salute, my friend. Just says, put in a bag. My daughter used them all. How about grocery bags work? Grocery bags will work. Mustafa says, I will send you an email from the mayor. Awesome, Mustafa. Thank you. Tiger King Source Seeker, my wife said hi to you. Hun, hope you're well. Skit says, Mary, Skit Smith, Sue. Hey, Sue. Happy holidays to you, my friend. Just says, cooking German ham. What's different about a German ham versus a good old fashioned American ham? But Tiger King, I don't understand why you be scared. Falling asleep? That would be my worry. I wouldn't make it to midnight. I don't remember the last time I saw midnight, except maybe waking up in the middle of the night. I sent a text to Robert Perry. He has not replied yet. We had his wife Emily Perry up. I loved Emily Perry. Maybe his feelings are hurt because I chose Emily before I chose him. And I have a letter. I have an email out to, or a message. Sorry, a text out to Maria as well. If I don't hear from Robert or Maria, I'm going to lean on some connections. I'm going to ask Emily if she could ask Robert, and I'm going to ask. I have secret connections to Maria. It's a Christmas donkey of infinite wisdom yogi. He traveled a long, dusty road and gained much, much knowledge. This is a donkey I want to have up as a guest. Hey, Buddha. Buddha, how are you? How's everything up in the mountains? Did I miss Cat? There she is. Hey, Cat. German ham you cook in vinegar water with ham coated and white pepper. Oh, that sounds good. Why don't I read your message out like other people, Eric? Because I read your first one. It's the same message that you put, and I read it the first time, Tiger King. And now, back by popular demand. Feeling better, energetic.
Yeah. I'm almost better.
The door is open. Merry Christmas, Sniper.
Merry Christmas, mate. Happy New Year and all that. Hope everyone in the chat is having the best they can at this possible time. I know it can be quite a hard time this time of year, depending on circumstances. You know, I look back at some of my happiest memories when I was a child, you know, because I could pretty much halfway through the year see what I wanted for Christmas, and it was already on my Christmas list, and it would just materialize, you know, and it got. I kind of woke up very early. Came Christmas, and not breaking too many paradigms for others here. But yeah, I felt cheated, even as a child, that I was lied to. And I took it quite personally. And then, of course, celebrated it when I left home. It was an opportunity just to get drunk and party, and you know, you celebrated it in different ways every year as you progress through life. And now I've come full circle with children myself, you know, and they're at that age now where they've woken up themselves, and I've kind of, it's never been hidden from them. They work it out quite quickly, but they also play along with it as well, which is, you know, they see the other younger children around them, and so they remain in character for them. You know, that's their intuition. They don't want to break the hearts of other children, even though that they know themselves that, you know, it's what we make of it ourselves. That's the most important thing at Christmas. You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't even get to speak to anyone at Christmas. So even just saying hello and wishing them a Merry Christmas, a random stranger, you know, or just seeing if, you know, anyone wants a lift anywhere. You know, it's just one of them things this time of year. You know, people kind of automatically try and come together, but you know, times will change and times will change, and you know, we've just had a new government that's coming in thinking that, you know, our old traditions actually, you know, conflict with a a new time that we are seeing. You know, and not everyone does celebrate Christmas because of their beliefs. And so, to a traditional Christmas, it may be just a painting now. You know, we will have to see. We will have to see what the future brings. You know,
Right.
Christmas to Christmas is different to every different person. Um, and that is the magical thing about Christmas. You know, and so we have to then look at where all our messages come from, where all our symbols come from. You know, uh, from Father Christmas himself, you know, which is an iconic part of Christmas, um, to the actual day. You know, it's come about through and Christ and the birth of Jesus, but nowhere in the Bible does it actually mention a date. And so it's it's a stamp of information that has been placed upon something that was already here before Christ, even before the birth. It was also the death, and well, I'll go into that in a little bit. But if everyone is ready in the chat, is there any messages or is there any queries before we start?
Not yet. Everyone's wishing you well. They're happy you're back. Our friend Jess
Thank
is
you.
here. She says hi.
I feel 90%. I think I still don't feel 100%. I kind of got a few aches where I didn't have them before, and that may be just because I've not done I've done more lying about than working, and the working I've just done was quite intensive as well, and so it has to balance out at some point. So I've got a few days off now until the new year, and then I've got a couple of crazy tree drops, so that will need balancing out as well. So I'll need a couple of days rest after that. It just shows I'm getting older, but I don't mind as long as I have that time to recoup. You know,
Right.
I don't mind doing the bigger jobs. I would prefer the smaller jobs, of course, but you can't pick and choose at the moment. So if everyone is, hi Michael, if everyone's got their Christmas ears on, I shall go through a few little things that I've come across that it's come to this time of year. Thanks, Shirley. I knew you were in the wings. So let's step away from the tinsel for a minute and the department store Christmas carols. We shall discuss a Christmas that exists in the marrow of your own bones. Now, this might sound very silly, but it's also found in the geometric images of the stars. At Christmas time, most people celebrate, as I said, the birth of a historical character. But we are here to celebrate a cosmic mechanism. And this cosmic mechanism is part of this cycle that we see and observe every year. We will journey through our own bodies. We will visit the chaos of Rome. We will dive into the mathematics of frost and also look at the shamanic roots of the forest. And this is all connected with Christmas, or what we believe. The manger of the self. Esoteric have whispered the Bible is a medical textbook. It's disguised as a myth to understand the birth of Christ. We must understand the charisma. Now, charisma, the Greek translation, Christos, meaning anointment oil or the anointed one. Now, in our biology, this refers to this secretion, the holy oil, that's produced by our own brain. Now, if you were to think of your body as the Holy Land, your spinal column is the Jordan River. And at the base of your spine is the sacrum, which is literally your sacred bone. Now, it's dormant energy, which is the manger, which is located in the solar plex. And that's the place of animal hunger and our digestion, our gut. It's where the seed of a new life is planted. The vagus nerve, we could associate with Jacob's ladder. It's the path from the
There we go.
I'm back. So yeah, the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body.
Sniper. Audio.
Can you hear me? Check.
We can't hear you.
Okay, one sec. How's that? Check. Can you hear me now? Hello. It says I'm off mute. Okay. You can hear me?
Nope.
Stinkbug can hear me.
Kia says they can hear him.
They can hear him.
I'm getting an echo on my end.
Do you want me to come out and then I'll come back in again? See if that works. One sec.
Some people can hear him, some people can't. Stickbook says, yeah, I can hear us just fine. There we go. Let's see if this works. Hey, Hammer. Sarasika can't. Lady Sky can't. Hammer could hear lightly. Hey, Environment. Thanks, Gooded. Yep, maybe earbuds, not earbugs. Sarasika says when he got close, I could hear him better. We were rolling along nicely for a bit. Todd says, Yogi, thanks for this channel. I've been working on some things. I hear you all. I hear you.
Check 1, 2.
There we go. Back in business.
I just closed everything down again and started up again. YouTube has been doing that for a little while, actually. Something's going on with it anyway. I'm glad everyone can hear me now.
Loud and clear, says Hammer.
Right. There we go. So we were talking about the vagus nerve being the longest nerve, traveling from the gut to the brain. You can hear me now, Lady Sky. Fantastic. So this is the longest nerve of the body, wandering from the gut to the brain. In the frenzy of the modern world, we live in a sympathetic state. It's fight or flight, stress or noise. There is no room in the inn. Now, the birth of Christ within, we must enter the parasympathetic state. This is the stillness of winter, when the body becomes perfectly still. The vagus nerve sends its signal of peace. The seeds begin to rise and it travels up the 33 vertebrae of the spine, the 33 years of Christ, until it reaches the place of the skull, Golgotha, the pineal star. At the top of this journey sits the pineal gland, where the sacred secretion reaches this point. It's crucified. It crosses over the optic thalamus, and it's transformed. This creates a burst of an internal light, which is your Star of Bethlehem. It's not a star in the sky. It's the light of the nervous system that finally comes into alignment with the divine. So when you sit in the silence of Christmas Eve, you are not just waiting for a holiday. You're waiting for your own biology to ignite. So that's its connection to our body through Christmas. Now, its connection to role reversal and Saturnalia. The shadows of Saturn. Before the church moved its date to December 25th, the world Saturnalia, Saturn, it's a god of time. It's also the god of lead and also limitations. It's the old man of winter who cuts down the year with his scythe. He represents the ego, and it's the walls we build to feel safe. But the ancients knew a secret. If you don't break the walls, the new life will suffocate. So Saturnalia was an entire week of pure sanctioned madness. It was the Lord of Misrule. Now, during this time, which was 7 days over this period, the Lord Misrule was crowned. And being a role reversal, he was usually a peasant or a servant. And for this one entire week, he gave all the orders. The masters served their servants at the dinner table. For that week only, gambling, which was illegal, was now permitted. it was it wasn't just a 7-day party. It was a psychological purgation. It was spiritual alchemy. Now, why did they do this? Well, a divine child cannot be born into a rigid ego. If you are too important, too serious, or too professional, there is no room for the miraculous. You must become the fool to become the sage. So this Christmas, I challenge anyone to look at where you are most rigid. Where are you a tyrant in your own life? The esoteric meaning of the gift is the sacrifice of the old self. By reversing the order, we prove that our souls are not defined by our jobs or our status. We are the lords of the misroll, the spirit that exists before the law was even written. Now, I'm going to bring this into the snow that we see around us at Christmas time. And the geometric shapes that it's creating through the snowflake. The frozen world, you will see cymatics. The sound of creation. In the Bible, they say, in the beginning was the Word. In Greek, logos is a word. A word is a sound, and a sound is a vibration. And when sound passes through water or matter, it creates geometry. Now, this is the science of cymatics. If the universe is a song, then winter is the movement of the song. It freezes so we can read its sheets of music. Water is the most sensitive receiver of frequency in the whole of nature. As the temperature drops and the world falls asleep, the water in the atmosphere begins to catch the celestial frequencies of the stars. The seal of Solomon because every single snowflake is hexagonal. Everyone is identical in that form, but everyone is individual with its own pattern. But they all have 6 sides. In sacred geometry, the hexagon is the seal of Solomon. Two interlocking triangles, one pointing upwards, which is humanity reaching God, and one pointing downwards, which is God reaching out for humanity. When it snows, the sky is literally raining down millions of tiny seals of Solomon's. The earth is being covered in the geometric proof of the as above and so below. Each flake is a unique word, a specific frequency from the divine, crystallized into a physical form we call a snowflake. Now, the lesson of the drift. Why does this matter for your spirit? It teaches us that divinity is not a vague cloud. It's precise, even in the coldest, darkest winter. There is a perfect blueprint at work. When you look at a snow-covered field, you aren't looking at white powdered snow. You are looking at an entire library of fallen stars, each one a message from the Logos. So that was the mathematics of Christmas. This then brings us to the mycology of Santa Claus. The shamanic flight of the mushroom and the tree. So we must address a certain man in red. We have been told he is a saint from Turkey, or is created straight from a soda company. But the truth is, it's much older. The story comes from a forest in Boreal, in Serbia, with the people called Evinki. Now, the Amanita muscaria, the red and white spotted mushroom, is extremely toxic if eaten raw, but extremely medicinal if dried. It has a mycorrhizal relationship with pine trees, as it only grows near its root systems. This is the original gift under the tree. This is why we put presents every Christmas under your Christmas tree at home, to be picked out in the morning. Now, the village shaman would collect these mushrooms in a sack. And because the snow was so thick around everyone's yurts, there was only one way he could come in, and that was through the roof. That would be our chimney. He always wore red and white to honor the color of the mushrooms he was picking. He would have to hang the fresh, damp mushrooms on the branches of the pine tree to dry out by the fire, and then place them in a sock to be hung over the hearth. Now, this red character that we know as Santa has his astral flying sleigh. And what of the story of Santa's reindeers? Well, in Siberia, the reindeers there love these mushrooms. And it's how the shaman collects these mushrooms he observes where the reindeer are. The reindeer find them for him. The reindeer seek them out to experience the spirit's flight. And when the shaman and the reindeer ingest these mushrooms, they experience the state of ascension. They feel as if they are flying to the North Pole or the North Star. The world tree, or Axis Mundi, the black rock. It's a time when, esoterically, Christmas is a thin place. It's a time when the veil of the physical world and the spiritual world is the most transparent. So Santa was the archetype of the psychopomp. Now, there's a word that you may never have heard before. A psychopomp. They are the guide who travels between worlds, that brings back wisdom from the great North spirit. So this brings us to the mystery of the North Pole, where Santa lives, so we say. The North Pole has been called Rupees Nigra for over 450 years. And not many people know that. In 1595, a famous man called Mercator, produced a map. And on this map, at the center, he drew a 33-mile wide black magnetic rock. He described in his own words, it was so powerful, it drew all compasses of the world towards it. Why did the greatest map maker in history, the man whose math guides every ship and airplane today, the same projection that he created is what we use in Google Maps. Yet, Google Maps shows you something different. He insists there was a black rock at the North Pole. So is the blue water we see on Google Earth a digital curtain? If the North Pole is a place of the skull, Golgotha, in our biological Christ story, not biblical, but our biological, then the black rock is the pineal gland of the earth. Luminar. If the elites and the keepers of the maps may have hidden the physical black rock, but they cannot hide the magnetic reality. Just as the seed in your body must rise from the dark sacrum to the pineal light, the energy of the earth rises from this hidden black magnetic source. We are told that the north is nothing but a north circle, so we don't go looking for the source. So is the North Pole empty because there is nothing there? Or is it empty because of sanctum sanctorum? It's the Holy of Holies. I suggest tonight we aren't looking at the maps that they gave us. We are looking at the maps written in our own marrow. So after tonight, and you look up into the winter sky, or you look down at the snow under your feet, if you have any, just remind yourself that you're not a spectator of this season. Not just. You are the laboratory in which all of this is happening. Be the manger, protect the quiet seed of your new potential in the darkness of your own stillness. Be the lord of misrule. Have the courage to break the rigid Saturnalia walls of who you think you are. Be the shaman. Seek the thin places where the veil between your physical stress and your spiritual flight dissolves. The North Star, Polaris, it isn't just a coordinates. It's not just been hidden from you. It's the fixed point in your soul. The map is in your bones, within your marrow, within your DNA. The compass is in your blood. The sun has begun its journey, returning. But the true dawn is that spark inside you, the one that you ignite within. And that's where you'll find the gold within the lead. It's all about the spiritual alchemy.
I was going to say, I like that the alchemical wrap up with that. Truly, we could think of Christmas as a alchemical process, the birth of Christ from the humanness.
Exactly. It's not about the material things, where a lot of people think it is, with the sales and how desperate they are to find these certain objects for certain people that they have told you that they want throughout the year, and it puts stress on you. You don't need that at Christmas. It's the opposite, complete opposite. It's the small gifts. It's the small gifts that you weren't expecting.
Right.
That's what makes Christmas. It's
Well,
the opportunity you take.
One of the things you and I've talked often about is basically following the money, following the big corporations, how once they become involved with something, the very nature of it, the essence of it begins to change and lose the original meaning that it had.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's a herd mentality. It's like a tsunami.
Right.
You know, when it gets to it. You know.
You want to open things up for questions?
Yeah, please do. If anyone has any questions, whether I can answer them about Christmas is another thing.
I had read once before, and I don't remember where, about Saint Nicholas being a shaman.
I've heard quite a few stories about St. Nicholas. Um, he's Germanic, um, the man of the forest.
Any thoughts on how he ended up being a paunchy, middle-aged, bearded guy from shaman, from a lean Turkish shaman to man of the force to
Well, we need to make sure that there is plenty of food on the table. This is the narrative that I can see through the commercializing of it. You know, it's the preparation for Christmas now happens the day after Halloween.
right.
Now, to me, that's just greed. Yeah, as I say, Krampus, which is the complete opposite. He goes around scaring the children.
Let's see. Star Seeker has a question. We're waiting. She's going to type it out.
Mm.
What's
What
the
was the
symbolist?
symbolization?
You got
Yes,
it.
I've seen it. Yeah. Now, I think I mentioned this in one of my previous ones. I would have to then go back to my notes. Um, it was materialistic gifts, but each of the the gifts represented um, certain aspects. The frankincense was used um, to warn away. It's still used to warn away to this day. Um, the oils as well, which was the anointment, um, and the gold, supposedly was the purest form of metal at the time. And the trinity of these three was another kind of symbolic, um, esoteric symbol that they wanted to stamp along with what Jesus represented. They would have been the most expensive things. If Jesus came back, would he vape? Of course he wouldn't vape. But he might smoke the pipe of peace. Yes, morning star, Lucifer, also Venus as well.
I love that graphic novel, Sissy.
Of course, the the six-pointed star, the inner becomes the pentagram, and then we kind of, it's the reversal of the symbolisms used in the witchcraft and everything else.
Have you heard that?
Astrologers, sages, magi's. The magi's were astrologers because they had to, everything was as above, so below.
Well, they were following the North Star, tracking the North Star.
Exactly that. But that star appeared in the sky. That was a star that was never seen before.
I find it sort of telling that Christmas has slid into the materialistic, and that we think of things in non-sacred terms as being materialistic as well. That we have spirit, and then we have the material world, as you were talking about with the thin places. That we
Yep.
have the immaterial and the material, um, and that as we fall away from spirit, as we fall away from the material, we are more immersed in the materialism, buying, shopping, achieving.
Each year you buy something else to add to what you've already previously got, because obviously that wasn't enough. you know and then where do you store everything throughout the year? That's another thing, and then it's just a programming that we are either tormenting ourselves with through the materialistic and not balanced through the spiritual.
Right. Environment says we lie to our children about Santa, teach mistrust. And then you began with that basically.
Yeah, yeah. I the story was I was about 7 years old, which was quite young to understand. When everyone is putting on this act, and Santa is in the room handing out all the children presents. But when you see Santa and you look into his eyes and you go, "Hello, Granddad." One of your uncles picks you up very quickly and sweeps you out the room because no one else heard you. You didn't spoil the problem with all the other children. And at 7 years old, I was like, I knew there was something wrong, but it was before that. It was like a confirmation more than an awakening, even at the age of 7, that something wasn't right with the world, that there had to be more to what was being put in front of my eyes.
Star Seeker has a question.
Was it important that Mary symbolically posed as a virgin, or was that later during the Nicene Council?
I think towards the end, I think it's more the council myself, but
Yeah, well, it was you have to realize that the story of a Virgin Mary doesn't just come from the Bible. Mythology, Greek mythology, it goes all the way through to Sumerian. So I read the Bible, I read the Gospels, not as one entire book. From a very young age, when I first read the Bible, I came to a conclusion that the Gospels were just like a Shakespeare play, and that the Greeks would be playing out these every Friday night. And somewhere along the line, they've been written down, but not as a play, as a story. It's just the way that the Gospels were spoken about separates it from everything else in the Bible.
Miss Pippa says it was mistranslated.
Yeah, absolutely. I go to the Greek and the Septua. It's just that the Latin was an opportunity to hide all the secrets during the translation. Now, some say that English was spoken much, much, much earlier than what we have been led on to believe. So there's that in itself. We've been told things are lost in translation, but translating manuscripts was an opportunity to change history. Just finished wrapping up all the children's presents. I didn't get too many this year, but they got
Hey, they
the
got
same
some
amount.
pretty. They got some pretty
The
nice
same
stuff.
amount of money. Yeah. It seems that I'm spending that little bit more every year, and the presents are getting smaller and smaller and quicker to wrap up, which I don't mind. But years ago, you're as a child, you'd be expecting all these big boxes and big presents, and now everything is digital and it's coming smaller and more compact. And I used to just love chucking the present away and playing with the box. That was
Right.
me. I was more into my imagination than actually, you had this toy, you played for it half an hour to an hour, you chuck it in the back. You had so many toys, you forget what you had. It's that kind of mentality. Whereas if you only had a very few amount of toys, you would cherish them, you'd play with them all the time. That was
Right.
what it was back in the 50s, 60s. But then you saw the progression, and opening up 60 presents when you were, 10 years old was a child's dream.
We always got a lot of books, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. I
Mm,
have books on my back shelf that my father got for Christmas in the 1930s. My mother I got Huckleberry Finn back there that my mom got in 1941. It was
lovely.
a big deal because
Mm,
this was during the Depression,
yeah,
and money.
they were treasured items. Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
They were the things you would grab in a fire, back then.
right.
you know.
And both my parents just loved reading so much that
Yeah.
every book was cherished and read over and over and over again because you didn't know when you'd get the next one. And that tradition continued with us every Christmas. Um, there was books. Be my first Christmas uh, without a book exchange from anyone. Had me feeling a bit down this morning.
Yeah. Well, you could always rummage through the books behind there and look for the one with the most dust on.
Yeah, maybe pull one down that my dad got as a kid.
Yeah,
That be a nice. Thank you for that. It's a nice connection. I appreciate
yeah.
you saying that.
I find I go through my dad's collection every time I go around there. Mum didn't read too many books, but she had a few quirky books on how to do silly things, and that kind of just reminds me of me mum.
Right.
But my dad was more into kind of war stories and spy espionage and
You gonna get a chance to see your dad over the holiday?
yeah, I'm seeing him Boxing Day. My sister's going over there Christmas Day tomorrow um,
Good.
with her crew, um, and yeah, he'll come over for Boxing Day for the day. It'll be nice for him. See the grandchildren.
What day is Boxing Day?
The day after Christmas Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is one more time? Um what's the symbolism for Boxing Day?
Um, I'm not really too sure. I'm sure there would be a time when it would have to be associating with boxing, perhaps. Um, the only sport that you could play on Christmas Day was archery.
Huh.
I do remember Backley. It was to do with the English, and it was law that the only sport you could play on Christmas Day was archery. Yeah, Boxing Day is just another bank holiday to spend more in pubs at the time, but of course now all the pubs are closed, and they made a good point of closing the pubs 5 years ago.
Hmm.
It seems like the only places are open are the chains, the very big corporate chained companies that will stay open on Christmas Day.
Sissy says in her family it was football.
Yeah,
Yeah, we always had a game on here.
always used to go down to see West Ham play on Boxing Day. They used to play Tottenham every Boxing Day because Tottenham was their nearest rival. So it was a charity match, and it, one of those things. Didn't really mean anything at the time because it was just a charity cup.
Right.
It was just an opportunity to go out and watch some football. Stand up there in the cold and cheer a ball that you can hardly see.
So last thing before we wrap up.
Mm.
Next Wednesday is New Year's Eve.
Oh,
What
nice.
it's a symbolism. Be a good time maybe to talk
Yeah,
about intentions.
yeah. New Year,
New Year. New Year.
or is it? Or is it the New Year?
Could be something to talk about right there.
Exactly. It's the new year to what we believe in this timeline at this moment in time. But the new year didn't start We're in the heart of winter. Don't forget, winter's only just started. Second day, third day of winter already.
Sissy says intense renewal, but the new year is spring.
The new year is indeed spring. That's why it matches up with October being Oc, which is 8, but it's the 10th month. Dec is 10, yet it's the 12th month. Novo is 9, but it's November, which is the 11th month.
Be interesting to see what you might come up with for New Year's Eve. If you're up for a talk, I don't know if you have
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah, that's if people want to turn up for a New Year's Eve.
I'll be here.
Yeah, that'll be good.
All right. Well, thank you, Sniper.
Thank you.
Have
I'll
fun
jump back in
tomorrow.
the chat. I'll jump back in the chat and say hello to everyone.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you can say
and
your
we'll wrap it
goodbyes.
up after a minute or two.
Cool. Cheers.
Yep. Thank you, Double X. Guys, the Esoteric Cafe. Sniper's headed in the chat. He's going to say hi to everyone. And then we'll wrap it up. I'm going to go to bed. Don't go to bed. Santa Claus don't get here, right? Isn't that what they say? For me, I made a commitment. I talked to Adam about this. Celebration of Christmas. Christmas literally being the birth of Christ, right? Which can and should happen every single day. I left the Catholic faith, and I don't know how old I was. Definitely when I got out of my first year in high school, when I was very graciously asked to leave my Catholic high school. On no uncertain terms, I was not to attempt to come back, which was fine by me. I did not want to go back. For one, man, who wants to be in an all-boys school? Not me. Not when I was 14 years old, that's for sure. And for two, I had felt heavy. Catholic faith had become a cloak around my rapidly developing spiritual sense, even at a young age. 2 years later, I would be introduced to my first Alan Watts book, Tao, the Watercourse Way, and his book on Zen. Girlfriend's mom gave it to me. And I love those books, and I love my girlfriend's mom, maybe more than I love my girlfriend. When my girlfriend broke up with me, I was devastated. One, I lost my girlfriend's mom. Two, I had to return the books. And I joke about that with my ex-girlfriend, still to this day, who is a Facebook friend. Hey, Krishna, Tom. So when I started with the course, which is very heavy in Christian language, but it's not Christianity. Uses Christian language. It is being offered the voice of Christ, the voice of Jesus, offering a gentle correction, and it has more in common with Vedanta. Bill Thetford, who was one of the co-scribes, actually studied. He wanted to see. He was unfamiliar with the language the course was talking about. He was unfamiliar with the spiritual terms, the spiritual thought system, the psycho-spiritual thought system. He was the head of the medical psychology department at Columbia University. So he studied Buddhism and yoga and other traditions, and he found that Course in Miracles was more of a Western Vedanta than it was Christian, conceptual as well as spiritual. But my own relationship with the language of Christianity deepened. studying the Course, my relationship with Jesus. I loved, by the way, how our friend Corinne Zupko, Course in Miracles student and author of From Anxiety to Love, she talked about how the language of the Course is very masculine, but the energy is very feminine. That it's the feminine that opened up and allowed the masculine to take place. So anyway, long story short, long story slightly longer, I should say, that through the years with the studying of Course in Miracles, my practice of the Course in Miracles, which is more important than studying it, the practice is forgiveness, the practice is being kind, the practice is using the Holy Spirit as my internal guidance that changes my external circumstances and how I navigate the external. Always turning everything over to the Holy Spirit or Jesus, whatever symbol that I'm using in my mind. And with that, Christmas was born anew. My commitment, my goal was to see the birth of Christ, symbolically Christmas Day, and then every day thereafter. My practice is going to be live stream. I'm very sincere, committed to my practice, if not inexpertly guiding myself. You know, I don't always immediately turn everything over to the Holy Spirit, but I do so as soon as possible. As soon as I realize that I'm bringing the suffering upon myself. So, turning to the Holy Spirit is allowing the birth of Christ, as our friend Miss Whipper says, practicing the holy instant. Christmas can be not just one day a year, not just 12 days, not just every day. Miss Whipper says instant, holy instant. When is an instant? Now, now, and now. Holy instant. Holy instant is the acceptance of the atonement. Hey, Hammer. Hammer says it's not even religious to me anymore. It's money out of my pocket. It's conversations I don't care to have. It's a friend. It could be a tough time of year for many. The materialism, the money grabbing, the is this all I got? Simply says the Christmas gift happens every 28 days within the body, not just once a year at Christmas. Western masculine, Eastern feminine. Environment says the Shakti. Yep. Shakti and Shiva making the universe. So, yep, Miss Pippa says atonement is undoing of the illusions. So the holy instant, we accept the atonement, we accept the fact that illusion is done, and that Christ has risen, Christ is here, Christ is now. Christ is a consciousness, Christ is an energy. Christ is not a person. It's not Jesus' last name. You are the Christ. I am the Christ. So how about we allow that Christ to rise within each of us? Tomorrow, maybe specifically tomorrow, it's a good place to start, right? Christmas. And then we continue that energy throughout the year. Every day is a good place to practice. It's a good place to start. That holy instant can happen again. It can happen now. It can happen now. It can happen now. You know why? There's only now. That's it. It's only always now. Emma says, my little brother comes every Christmas. He sits down and always talks like I know what he's talking about. If I cared, we'd talk more than one day a year. Hey, I know how that is. Emma says, my oldest daughter will show up and fight with my wife. My brothers will need to play football for some reason. My young kids will drive me crazy. Well, hey, Hammer, if you need a getaway, I'll be here. I'll be live. Cat says, new, now. I will be the island for the misfit toys, guys. Sanctum Centurium, Miss Flipper. So that's me. That's my practice. That's Christmas. Birth of Christ. If you come here in the live stream, I will do my very best to see, to be witness, to bear witness the birth of Christ within you, because it's already there. All right, I'm going to go to bed. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for hanging out with Sniper. The Esoteric Lounge is closing its doors. We will reopen next Wednesday at 5:25. We'll see what Sniper has. The last show of the year, right? As you've seen, my channel has taken some changes over the past few months. More changes are in store. Some I don't even know about yet. I'm looking forward to it. And I wish much success for everyone else on your channels and whatever it is you're doing. Hammer says, I got one brother, right? He will come with all of his future plans. It's hilarious. He's got it this time. He's going to be a millionaire. 55 and broke. I can understand that. Love all around, Christmas bunnies. Thank you, Miss Flipper. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. Love you all. I will see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock.